Hey guys, Brian Hilliard here, author of the best-selling book Networking Like a Pro and creator of the popular program How to Expand Your Reach, Impact More Lives, and Get Your Message Out to a Wider Audience. Now, I actually just got off the phone with a client friend of mine. His name is Philip. He is actually out in Vancouver, which is British Columbia, Canada, and we were having a really good conversation. And one of the things that he was saying to me is, he says, you know what, Brian, I'm feeling good about this. You know, I feel like I have a really clear, consistent marketing message. Before, it felt like things were kind of all over the place a little bit, but now it's a lot more succinct, so that's awesome. He says, and I also feel like I have a real clear understanding as to what's going on in terms of making sure that my programs, packaging, and pricing is set up properly, so that is awesome. He says, but the challenge I'm feeling now is I'm not really sure how I can get in front of more people. Like, what is it that I need to be able to do? Because I need to be able to get in front of more of the right people. And he's like, I'm not sure about that. So we had a really good conversation and we kind of talked about this a little bit. And one of the things I said is, you got to think of it almost like fishing. Okay, where what's happening here for him is he's going out and he's going into the lake on the boat, you know, putting the thing out, the fishing rod, and waiting for the fish to come. And a fish comes, he pulls it out, and he's like, boy, you know what? This is a fish, I know, but it's not really the right kind of fish. But okay, you know, I don't have enough bites to begin with, so let me just take it back. And on the way home, I'll try to figure out how I can make this work. And for a lot of coaches and for a lot of service practitioners, that's kind of how we go about it. You know what I mean? Or at least how I used to, and certainly how a lot still do now. But if you really want to have a conversation about impacting more lives and being able to get out to a wider audience and get to that next level, what you want to be doing is you want to be finding more of the right people. And when I say the right people, I'm not trying to make this like, you know, they're right, you're wrong, that kind of thing. No, I'm talking about running a business. I'm talking about finding more the right kind of people where you can impact, where you can work with them, where you can make a difference, the right kind of people. Now, what I tell people right off the bat is when you talk about finding more of the right folks, okay, you want to think in terms of, so it's not like this conversation around searching far and wide. Oh, it's there, or no, is it over here? No, it's here. It's not like that, okay? Instead, you want to put yourself in a situation where people come to you, and then from there, you're finding the right people, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is a 3-day challenge, a Facebook challenge, a webinar, a presentation, physical networking, a live stream, maybe Facebook or LinkedIn, you know, things where you're putting yourself out there, people are then coming back to you, and from that group, we're finding the right people, from ones who potentially will become a paying client versus ones who maybe just want some free stuff or whatever the case may be. Now, I look for 2 things when I'm talking to people in that context, all right? The first thing I'm looking for is, do they acknowledge that they have a problem? This is huge. If you're talking to people who are not able to admit that they even have a problem, so let's say you're a life coach and they're, you know, whatever, you're going back and forth, and they actually haven't admitted or acknowledged that a problem exists, that's going to be hard. As a matter of fact, I don't even try to convince people. I'm just like, okay, you know, and I'll just continue on with my day. So what you do is to get people to acknowledge, or to see if they're willing to acknowledge that a problem exists. Let's go back to that life coach, transformational coach. What I'll do is I'll be on the phone with the person. So let's say they just came to a webinar or a live stream or a Facebook Live or whatever, right? And they schedule some time to talk with me or whatever. And I'll be like, oh, okay, Sally, thanks so much, blah, 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 blah. And then we talk, you know, whatever. And then I'll say, so it sounds like you're having some challenge in, you know, like, obviously this is depending on what they say. I'll say, so it sounds like you're having some challenge in terms of getting the peace of mind you deserve. Or it sounds like you're having some challenge in terms of having relationships at home. Or so it sounds like you have some challenge in terms of X. And I say that right off the bat, like within the first 3 or 4 minutes of the conversation. After they've told me a little bit about what's going on, that's what I'll say. I'll even say, Deb actually got me saying this. This was from an original idea from a guy by the name of Taylor Welch, and then Deb really got it to where it is much, much better in my opinion. She asks people when they sit down with her for the first time, she says, what enticed you to want to sit down with me here in the first place? That's a great way to do it as well, okay? So you got a couple of different things. If they do not give you a, oh, well, this is why and blah, 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 then they haven't acknowledged the problem and they're probably not gonna work with you. The second thing I look at is coachability. Are they somebody where after they've acknowledged the problem and you've given them some ideas, do they decide that, does it sound like the type of person who wants to, boy, that makes a lot of sense, good point? Or do they, yeah, but you? Oh, yeah, but. Oh, yeah, but. No, no, no. So what I personally do is I look to see if they're taking notes. If someone is not taking notes and I'm giving them good stuff, like I'm thinking that you probably don't realize that you want, that's not somebody who's going to probably become a paid client. Why? Because you write down things that are important to you and that you want to remember. And because you pay for things that are important to you and that are memorable. So if the person is not writing down the things, then it's highly unlikely that they'll turn around and pay you for something that they've already said is not important enough to write down. So those are kind of two things that I am on the lookout for. And I gotta tell you, this is really not as hard as you might think. I know getting out to a wider audience and impacting more lives, it can seem overwhelming. It can seem like your message is all over the place. It can feel like you're not sure where to start. I totally get that. But what I tell people is you are absolutely in control. You are a good coach. You have got good stuff. You have a great message. People want to hear from you. You could absolutely do that. And all you have to do is get into action. Do one of these things that we talked about, and you absolutely can move forward. As a matter of fact, let me give you a good first step. I'd like you to be able to like, share, or comment below, just as a little commitment to yourself that you're on board moving forward. Like, share, comment below. I listen and take back and type back all the comments and stuff that comes back to me, and it's a great way to get moving. But in the meantime, my name is Brian Hilliard, saying so long, take care, and thanks so much for your time.